All right, are you ready?
Yeah? This episode is brought to you by Carlisle Tattoo Co. Bold, bright and everlasting. You can find us at 178 Carlisle Street, St Kilda, Melbourne, Australia. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Carlisle Studios. My name is Hal Hunter. I'm a professional tattoo artist and I'm also the colleague of...
Bella Hunter?
There we go.
Yeah, okay, me. Hi.
You're also a professional tattoo artist.
Yeah.
And lucky enough to be the wife of me.
Lucky me.
Yeah. Hey, Bella.
Hey, Hal.
How has your week been?
My week's been good.
Really?
Yep.
So you're positive vibe about it?
No, not really.
Okay. I was only saying that because that surprised me, your answer.
Why? Do you want to explain why that surprised you?
If I can explain it without having any repercussions after the episode, I will.
Okay. Well, let's trial it.
You've got 10 weeks to go in your pregnancy.
Yep.
So is that the third trimester?
Yeah, we've been in the third trimester for a few weeks, I think.
Well and truly into it. And I think you're starting to get a bit sick of it.
Oh, I'm so sick of it.
And I like to remind you every morning when you wake up that you requested to experience the joys of pregnancy.
I don't think I requested the joys.
So
I think I said
complain.
I would like to experience it.
Yep, no, that's true.
And yeah, I've experienced enough. I want out.
Because we like to put all of our deepest, darkest secrets out online here, I, for many years, pushed the adoption route.
Yeah, and I'm still all about the adoption.
Yep. But you wanted to experience pregnancy, which is fair enough. That's something you can experience. I can't.
I'm a fucking idiot.
And the way I like to view the world, very simplistic, sometimes not super nuanced. I believe that not that I believe it. I sometimes struggle to give sympathy to people.
Sometimes.
Yep, all the time.
Thank you.
I struggle to give sympathy to people who make conscious decisions to do certain things and then they complain about them.
I'm aware.
I'm not saying this in your case, but I'm saying I just like to remind you of that every day.
Oh, no, I'm aware. And I think that is why I'm so snappy with you specifically.
Yeah.
Because you have given me absolutely zero sympathy.
That's not true at all. That's not true, Bella.
Okay, sorry.
I help you up off the couch every night except tonight because I didn't see you put your hand out.
Okay. Is that the extent of the
then
sympathy?
Well.
What else have you done? You get my coffee order wrong most days.
That's not true. You always get a soy latte.
Not true.
And then once every fucking 2 months, you then chuck some random other shit in there that I then go, oh, okay, yeah, Bella wanted a coffee? Oh, cool, soy latte. And then I get back and you're like, you didn't even fucking listen to me.
No,
like,
not
Bella,
true. Through this pregnancy, remember I couldn't stomach coffee for like the first and second trimester. Mm-hmm. So I was getting random drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Difficult again.
Well, it's really not that hard because you go, hey, I'm going to get a coffee.
No,
would you like something? And I
Bella.
say, yeah, can you get me this? And by the time you get back, you're like, oh, yeah, I forgot.
I saw this thing. I actually think you sent it to me the other day on TikTok, which was how like men don't listen to things.
Yep.
You know, and my mum used to always say to me, you know, it's always the same shit. I'm like, I can't find something. She's like, did you actually look or did you just look like a man or whatever? And then she'll go and find it in 2 seconds.
Yep, and that happens to us all the time.
I think the same thing applies to like what you were saying or what you sent me about men not listening. But the way I think about it is in the morning when I'm like, I'm going to go get a chai from the shop, oat chai. Do you want a drink or anything like that? And then Jack's like, oh, I'll come with you. Charles is like, oh, can you get me this? Henry's doing some other dumb shit. Then Cody's in the back, like, oh, get me this. And then you're like, oh, can you get me a banana and a half cucumber and a fucking
half cucumber
beef frappuccino latte? And I'm like, whoa, too much. I'm also trying to do some message on my phone.
Okay, let me just give you a little lesson here.
That's why I forget.
Let me just give you a tiny little lesson here, sweetheart.
Yes.
When you're pregnant wife, so not just your colleague, also your wife.
Best friend.
Best friend.
As well.
Life companion.
Yep.
Business partner. the best thing that's ever happened to you.
You should put entrepreneur in your bio.
Yeah, maybe I will.
Yeah.
When you ask her a question and she simply responds back by saying, yes, can you please get me this?
Yeah.
Maybe just fucking listen.
It's hard sometimes.
It's really not, because you don't need to be paying as much attention to those other boys as what you should be paying to your pregnant wife. I'm the one going through this agony and you already know that I'm unhappy. So you should maybe be like, all right, maybe this tiny thing that I can do in my day might improve her day.
All right. And thanks for listening to another episode. We will get back to you next week.
Well, you know what? First 5 minutes of the podcast, a little bit of marriage counselling. Maybe some of our listeners need it.
Hal and Bella's marriage counselling.
Just open your fucking ears.
Yeah. So let's just use that. Bella, you close your ears for 1 second. Let's just use that as a good illustration of Bella being snappy at me.
Oh, I'm so snappy.
I'm not going to comment on that.
I will admit though, well, not I'll admit, I will ask. Up until the past, 2 or 3 weeks, I've been quite easy to deal with, right?
Yes. You generally are very easy to deal with. I've noticed in the last 2 weeks, you've told me to fuck off more than you have in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Because you're just asking and doing dumb things.
I'm also not going to comment on that.
Also, on the weekend, I had to help you at like 7:30 at night.
You didn't have to.
I had to unload the bloody half pipe.
We'll jump into that.
Okay.
That's a good segue. So 5 minutes of marriage counselling, straight into weekly recap. I'll kick it off because I wrote it and you've already taken one of my things.
Oh, okay.
Very productive weekend, not ideal for enjoyment factor.
No, minimal enjoyment.
Yeah. So we're doing the polar opposite this weekend. We're making zero plans.
I actually need to respond to a friend of ours. But it's okay. It's not about this weekend. It was going to be, and now it's
next. Is that just a random thought or is that?
No, it's about our life.
Okay, anyway. We had way too many obligations on the weekend. One of my really good friends' 30th birthdays, which we didn't end up making it to because a little bit of tiredness after work, pregnancy not going well, stuff like that. Oh no, pregnancy's going well, but the impacts
just
that
tired and grumpy
that
from both of us
on the work life, then into a party event afterwards was not suitable. We then had Courtney, Pokio Drift, or as our friend J-Boy likes to call it, Porky Robot. I don't know why he thought that was her name on Instagram, but
I'll laugh every time.
It was her 29th birthday. Mm-hmm. So we had a brunch with her and her partner at the Merrick's General Store. Really,
which we love. We've plugged many times.
We love it. Love it there. I don't know if they.
But we're not allowed to go back.
I don't know if they love us. Why not?
I can't eat my favourite meal there.
Why?
Pancakes. It's on the no list.
Oh, Bella's been put on a diet from her OB about the pregnancy. So
gestational diabetes, apparently.
Very unhappy about it.
Very grumpy girl.
I'll just quickly get through this so we can get to some tat talk. Had 2 surfs on the weekend. One was horrendous. One was really good. Ended on the good one, so very happy with that. My foot is really sore from the tattoo because it keeps rubbing on my shoe, and I also have been doing activities that aren't lending itself well to
Well, generally, we don't recommend you
recovery.
go surfing straight after a tattoo as well.
Yep.
So you can only blame yourself.
Smashed it on a skateboard on yesterday.
And then you
really
pulled
sore.
out like our bin drawer and like scratched it again.
Yeah, it's...
You're being a bit silly.
Well, so this is the issue I'm running into with the healing foot tattoo. Healing really well. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. Really like the tattoo. But because of the placement, it's sort of like mostly on the inside of my foot heel.
Heel?
Sorry, like the inside of my heel, like ankle.
Yeah, your heel is at the back. It's not near the back.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
You can see the areas that are taped up. It definitely is.
Oh, okay, sure.
The issues I'm running into, when I'm wearing shoes, it rubs a lot. So then I'm not wearing shoes, but then I keep smashing it on stuff, like bottoms of cupboards.
Maybe you just got to pull the thongs out for work.
No, because it rubs directly on the thong line. I thought about wearing my Birkenstocks and whatever, my Crocs and stuff. It rubs too much.
What if you wore Birks with socks?
Nah, it's like...
Still rubs.
It rubs perfectly on that spot. So it's quite a frustrating spot to heal, I'm finding.
Okay.
I've achieved pretty much the dream garage, like minus a few things over the weekend.
What's it minusing?
Well, currently, and this is why the weekend was so draining. I had to drive to Phillip Island, which is an hour and 40. It's actually only about 30 kilometres from where we live, but because of the waterways around our area, it's about an hour. It's an hour and 45-minute drive to pick up a mini ramp, skateboard mini ramp, 3-foot mini ramp.
Yes.
Which has gone into the garage.
Yep.
To fill the space where the ute used to go. We've done some rearranging. Really happy with it. So that was actually, I'll put my masculinity on the line here, Bella.
Sure.
I'll be open about it, vulnerable.
Okay. I don't know where you're going with this.
This weekend was the first time I ever towed a trailer.
Yeah.
And I went all out.
Fair.
I went all out with it.
What do you mean all out?
Well, I think if you go, first time towing a trailer, you tow like a small trailer.
Oh, I thought you were meaning like you had like the windows down and like real like country boy music rocking or something, and like you had the outfit on.
You're saying like I full got into the trailer boy life.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying.
No, I'm saying I went from zero
to hero.
Not to hero, to just like above like a basic trailer. So I just hired a big trailer, drove it to Phillip Island. Me and this middle-aged bloke who had one of the sickest houses I've ever been to.
You have not stopped talking about it.
It was really, really good. We loaded 600 kilos thereabouts of ramp onto this trailer.
Rampage.
Strapped it down. Then I drove back in the pitch black on the South Gippsland Highway with a trailer that didn't have any lights on it because Bunnings stooged me with the fucking connector. And then reversed it through our gate and down our driveway. It
did take a little bit to get it down the driveway, reversing.
No, it was difficult, but
it was pitch black and our driveway has like, it's on a slant and it has like a bit of a curve.
First time
I'll give you that. You did a great job.
First time reversing a trailer, it was loaded up. It was double, like wider than the car. And I had to do it in the dark with the instructions coming from you on the phone.
Yeah, and it only just fit through our driveway gates.
So I'm saying I'm really happy with that. And then ultimately, if you follow me on Instagram, I would think if you're listening to this, put it in the garage, which took fucking ages. Got the gym set up.
It did take a while.
Yeah, surfboard area. So the dream garage coming together good.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. I've got 2 more updates for people. Then you can jump onto yours.
Sure.
Sold the ute.
Oh, is this finalised?
Yeah, he paid the deposit just before.
Damn, all right. We need to celebrate then.
I know.
I'm looking at it right now in the driveway.
Yeah, under the cover.
Yeah.
I bought a new cover for it yesterday and I'm going to return it on the weekend. Yep.
You can't return it if you've used it.
I just tried it on, didn't fit.
It's going to rain tonight.
So what?
Okay.
I'll say I washed it after or something. Yeah, so
hi, I tried on these underpants. They don't fit. I wore them and washed them. Here you go.
Sold and it's on its way to Newcastle.
Nice.
Yeah. And then finally, on Monday just gone, we did all the photos for Carlisle Threads.
Yes, we did.
Which is dropping the week of this podcast coming out. It will be.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to really think about that.
Yeah, because this is coming out on Monday.
Yep.
So have a listen. No, what am I even saying?
Don't listen.
Listen to what the words I just said about Carlisle Threads coming out. Jump online, have a look, see if there's some stuff you like.
We will be releasing a launch date.
Yeah, we'll put all the info up on the socials. Yes. You'll see it. And anyway, how was your week? Well, a lot of it was pretty much the same as me.
It really was.
And we did some really fun tattoos, and I'll get into some of them in a minute.
Why don't you just do it now while you're still on your week?
No, you jump in yours. I'll chime in because I got to suss the photos.
Oh, okay, of course.
Yeah.
I had a really nice week of tattoos actually. Yeah. I had a few, like mostly regulars come back last week. Mm-hmm. I actually did one of Charles Cooper's tats. Well, I took it from his line drawing book.
Yeah.
Of a horsey.
And
of a little pony, and you did it today.
And I did that today.
Yeah.
They showed me the photo of the tat you did. Oh. And I went to your line drawing book and took it straight out.
Oh, yeah, because I did put it in there. I said, Charles, I'm claiming this now.
That's actually relevant to one of the questions we've got later from someone.
Oh, great. Did that one. And then he was actually in for a day rate, so we did a bunch of fun ones on him. And then I've just got some funny photos of Hal standing in the garage showing me the plan of the half pipe.
Yep.
So that was a bit funny. Then we had a couple come down from Newcastle.
Oh, I thought you were saying just in general life. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, they came down and they technically booked a day rate each, but they split the day between Hal and I. So we did like...
That's right. They came from Newcastle. It's like I was... Because we had a bunch of people from Newcastle.
Yeah, we really are planning on coming up after the child is
definitely
out of my body.
So I tatted in for half the day and then we swapped.
Yeah.
And then I tatted her and you
so we did some fun tattoos on them. So thank you guys.
Yeah, that was cool.
Hopefully they hear us say thank you. Mm-hmm. And then I've actually got a photo of Cuthbert's bloody toe because Hal got a bit excited and tried to trim the dog's toenails without me and he accidentally cut it too short. But do you know what? I said to your mum today when I was on the phone to her, she's not fazed about it at all.
No.
Fully.
Because she knows I didn't do it on purpose.
Oh, she's just so perfect.
Yep.
So yeah, they're probably like the highlights of my week.
Yeah.
The brunch was a highlight because it was a delicious meal with
delicious
for one of my best friend's birthdays.
Scrumptious meal.
Scrumdiddlyumptious.
Yeah.
And then I also babysat Ariel's kid.
You did.
I did.
We won't say his name on here
because he's a child and he may not consent to that.
Wow. Yeah, but you did baking?
I think I'm quite good at babysitting.
Ariel said that actually.
Did he?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said you're really good with kids.
Yeah, so we made, his parents are both vegan, so we made some vegan choc chip cookies for him to take home. Then we did some reading because he's a very intellectual child.
Can read better than me.
He can read better than me, I can tell you that much. He made me read the same book like 6 times. I was like, oh my God, not again. And then we went and did some painting in your garage.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that when I got home actually.
Oh, it was very fun.
And
then, you go. The photo shoot.
Yeah, which was really good. Thank you to everyone involved in that. You'll obviously see the people who were involved. A few of the notable tats I've done since we last spoke. I added some flowers into Cassie's bodysuit, I guess. Mm-hmm. Back piece. They were like mostly on her backs and ribs. We did her back, I think about 4 years ago now. And
yeah, because you started tattooing her when we were at Carlton.
Yep, just when we started Carlton.
Yeah.
So it was in 2019. And yeah, so we just added in a few gaps, one rose just at the top of her ass crack. Really into it. Again, I remember I was thinking I was going to mention that horse that we did before. Had one customer and his girlfriend, came over from WA to get tattooed. I don't know if it was the sole purpose of their trip, but I'm going to like to think that it was.
That you were the reason.
And I was thinking about this yesterday. I tattooed this guy named Tash. He's from Japan. Mm-hmm. And I did his hand tattoo and I did a bulldog in his hand and an anvil behind his ear, like upper neck sort of area. And he was super impressive, a full Japanese bodysuit. Mm. Some of it done with machines, some of it done taburi, which is like the hand poke Japanese style.
Yes, we spoke about that on the last episode.
I got him to show me. It was really impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, really cool. And there was a bit of a language barrier there, but from what I could understand, he got that finished about 10 years ago and he hasn't been tattooed since. So these are his first tats.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be very strange to get tattooed again after that long.
Yeah, I know.
Like you'd be so nervous again. It'd almost feel like your first tattoo.
I think after getting what he's got, the hand tap probably wasn't going to phase him.
No.
Yeah. Bella, I've just got a few like random questions some people have sent in. Just interesting things they want to know.
Yes.
And then we'll jump into the more tat specific questions. Mm-hmm. So these are like this or that answers. Like
Okay.
You just say one or the other.
What? Which I prefer? What I'm like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what you like more.
Okay.
Television series or movies?
TV shows.
Delivery or sit down restaurant?
Delivery. Board
games or card games?
Oh, both I love and both Hal hates. That's really tricky. Yep. I'm going to say card because there's one specific game that I love.
Okay.
Which you hate. And it kills me.
It is the worst game.
It is the best game. Shut up. Move on. Next question.
To Bella's family, if you're listening to this, which I don't think you do anymore, That
They've had
game
enough of us.
is not going to be continuing in my family.
definitely will
It
be.
will not be. It is the shittest
I carried
card.
this child. I'll
It
decide
is
what it likes.
so shit.
Continue.
I can't. It infuriates me, the fact that you play that game. I already know your answer on this one. Video games or books?
Books, obviously. I hate video games.
I think this is someone from America, or they might mean ute, but do you prefer cars or trucks? Cars or utes, because Americans call utes trucks.
That's neither here nor there. I love the fact that utes come in handy quite often, especially in our life recently. But
I'm going to answer it for you because you've never once owned a ute. So I'm going to say you prefer cars.
Hal, you owned a ute, which technically was also mine.
I've owned 2 utes.
Yeah. But I'm going to go with cars only because our dogs don't like, Cuddy doesn't like going in the back of the ute, so it's not great for us.
That's not true. No, that is true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Tinny likes it.
Summer or winter?
Winter.
Country or city?
Country.
Broccoli or green beans?
Green beans.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Soda or juice?
Ooh. I'm going to go for soda because you can get juice-flavoured soda.
Very nice. Soda. No, you're a juice. That doctor said you can't drink juice the other day because you drink.
He said I also can't drink soda.
You drink so much juice. You never drink sodas.
No, I never do.
Because you drink lots of juice.
I just love orange juice. Sue me. But I also love like a fresh juice, like beetroot, carrot, apple, whatever.
Okay, fair enough. Where do you think this is not a this or that thing? This is just another question about that.
Wait, does the person want to hear your answers to these questions?
No, we can do me another time.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to get to know you, but no.
They didn't really ask me.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. Where do you think the Mecca of tattooing is? I know it's quite decentralized, but if you had to pick one spot that is the heart of the culture right now, where would you say?
Oh, fuck.
Thanks for the laughs and inspiration with y'all's work.
Y'all. Where is the Mecca of tattooing?
Can I go out on a limb?
I'd love that.
Full, obviously, disclaimers on this, but I'm going to make a statement anyway. Depends what you're into. Depends how much you want to pay.
I was going to say depends on the style.
Yeah, it depends on the style, depends on your budget, depends on a few other things relating to your personal lifestyle, I would say, or like your things that you like. But I'm going to say Melbourne is the Mecca for tattooing in the world.
Right now.
Yep.
Okay.
That's not to put us personally up there and be like, we're doing great or whatever. I'm just saying I think it's been like that for a long time as well.
And it is a very competitive scene in Melbourne, has been for a while.
Yeah. And if anyone disagrees, I'm more than happy to hear your suggestions because it might expose me to some different tat cities or some different artists or whatever. So it's like message me in the city you think, or message us in the city that you think is the Mecca and why, if you disagree with Melbourne being the Mecca. I can back up my statement. But do you have a city?
Well, not really, because I can only base it off where I've been recently, and we haven't travelled for quite a few years because we were going to go overseas and then COVID.
Yeah.
So a few years ago I would have said maybe New York.
Yeah, but
that would be years ago.
But why would you say New York?
Mainly because all of the artists that I liked were working there at the time.
But you reckon it's the Mecca of tattooing? You reckon it's where it's all happening?
No, probably not.
I think it depends a lot on like how old you are, how much money you've got, what you're into, what you think, tat culture is, all that sort of stuff. But I think it's like, and I've heard this in several countries that I've been to about tattooing. It's like, and it's like, it's not a like better or worse thing than other countries or whatever. But I think per capita, Australians from my own perception, and I've heard this from other owners of shops and stuff internationally, is that Australians are more heavily tattooed at a younger age.
Yeah, I do agree with
than any other country in the world.
I do agree, yes.
And
I feel like Americans get tattooed when they hit like they're getting tattooed when they're younger, but they get more work done, a larger body of work from like 30s up. Because they have the money to be able to do it because it is a bit more expensive.
It's more expensive
in the
there.
States.
So that's why I think, and I was talking about this with a customer the other day who's 20, he's turning 21 this year. And he'd have like 20 tats maybe.
Yeah.
And like he's got like a bunch of tats, but he's not like heavily tattooed.
Yeah.
Especially for that age. And I was like, you know, like you go onto every job site, every tradie job site in Australia, and there's someone with full sleeves, full neck, full front, back, you know, a bodysuit, whatever. Like hands down, that I would bet money that on 95% of job sites there's someone with a heavy amount of tats.
I would agree.
I
would also say for a mediocre amount of tats, like at least 10 plus, you could go into almost any restaurant or cafe and there'll be someone on the payroll who's heavily or mediocrely tattooed.
So that's why I think, and it's like, and within Australia, then even, I think you go to, well, obviously we just consider sort of talking about major cities, I guess. Melbourne is the one that's like, got the most heavily tattooed people.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, like heavily tattooed people, then that's a reflection of how much tattoo work's getting done, how easily accessible it is, how affordable it is, how accepted it is. So that's why, in my opinion, and just on a, I guess like a more personal note from that is, I think we spoke about this on the podcast before, but I definitely think it's like, you know, tattooing is an industry that's built on, like people build their careers on gaining respect, building respect by putting time in, by putting effort in.
Yeah.
And I think a great way to show, and I say this to lots of young tattooers, if they're asking me about stuff, or anyone that's young at the shop, or, you know, Henry, the apprentice or whatever, is that it's like, anyone can say that they're into something, into a certain culture. You know, everyone can go out and buy the merch. They can go and, you know, buy a record of a band and say that they're biggest fan or whatever. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like tattoos is like obviously a massive commitment to get, ultra painful, really expensive. So it's like if people are getting large bodies of work done, then that says
commitment.
Yeah, that shows like one, commitment from the client, from the artist. And I think if there's lots and lots of people getting large bodies of work done across all different styles, then that says that there's a real like sort of like tattoo culture, you know, thing going on in that city.
I'll back you. They're all very fair.
Yeah. I don't know if I explained that very
reasons.
well, but if you disagree, convince me otherwise. I'm happy to be educated.
Wow.
No, I'm not saying I'm happy that I'm educated. I'm saying I want you to teach me.
Yes. Yeah. You're happy to be proven wrong or have varying opinions.
Definitely. This is an interesting one. So this is more a question. Well, this is a question directed at us, but I don't really have any answers, but I thought I'd address it. So maybe you do have answers.
Oh God, I'm definitely not going to if you don't.
They said they love the podcast, but they need more recommendations for other tattoo podcasts, YouTube channels, or other medias, preferably traditional tattoo / painting stuff. I do have some answers, but do you? I watch a lot more YouTube and stuff than you. So
yeah, I really don't get into YouTube, but I'll walk into the room when you've got something on and be like, what's this? But I can't think of the names of them. We've obviously said the Austin Maples tutorials on YouTube prior. I
thought that was big fan of Austin.
Yeah.
I would say top tier, world class tattooer, one of the best. And I was really into that YouTube series he did. I thought he was going to continue on, but he hasn't put anything up there for a long time.
I really enjoyed it. It was done really well.
Yeah.
It was explained so in depth.
It was really good.
And really helpful for people learning or even just anyone wanting to.
But he had some other videos on there about him, like of him doing tattoos and
Yes.
with clients and stuff. And I thought, oh, he's going to start doing the YouTube a lot more.
That's what I thought, and then it just sort of died off.
Well, I guess
He might have a plan.
Be
He might have gotten
interested to know whether he just lost interest. He didn't think it was getting the response he
busy
wanted,
with work, other work
or
stuff.
maybe he'd only planned to do that much.
Yeah.
And he just wanted it to be another aspect of his social media presence.
But that would probably be my best recommendation to start there, because it's not just a podcast. You have visuals as well.
Yeah.
And I'm a visual learner.
It's put together really well.
Yeah. So
it's largely iPad based stuff, but
you don't need to have an iPad
the same,
to do it. You can use a pen and paper.
Yeah, learning techniques. I would say additional ones to that, I think we've mentioned these before as well, is the Vice Tattoo Age series.
We mentioned that quite early on.
So I believe there's like 24 episodes over a few seasons.
Yeah.
Depending on the jurisdiction you're in on YouTube will depend which ones are available for you to watch.
Yeah. Some are blocked for some.
In Australia,
areas.
for example, you can get like a handful of the older ones.
But not much new.
The newer ones were streaming on SBS through their Viceland channel for a while. I'm not sure if they're still on there. I guess like using a VPN and stuff, you'd be able to find out how to watch them.
Yeah, you would just need the titles, I guess.
For the traditional ones, like my favorite one's episode 1, which is a 3-part, 3 episodes, but it's still in the same episode.
I reckon you've watched it 15 times or more.
No, more. I watched it at work the other day at Vintique. I put it on the thing, which is the Dan Santoro one.
Yeah.
Heavily, obviously, like amazing tattooer. He owns American House now. It was filmed back though when he was working at Smith Street Tattoo Parlor.
Yes.
Funny Australian sort of tattoo history note in that. One of the guys he's tattooing in that is Fergus Sims, who's one of Australia's best traditional tattooers.
And now works at
Smith Street. Yeah.
It's all full circle, isn't it?
Yeah. Then there's a Burt Crack episode who's one of the owners of Smith Street.
Yep.
That's one of the more recent ones. There's a one on Ed Hardy, which is really, really cool. Sort of less about him tattooing because he doesn't tattoo anymore, but a lot more about the art side. They go to, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like the San Francisco College of the Arts or something, where he's got some work in there and stuff like that. And a really good way to sort of get exposed to some more artists. It like typically sort of older artists, like the generation above me. But yeah, really interesting. There's some Mike Rubendolls on there. Yeah, really, really cool. So get that. That's the Vice Tattoo Age. Then I guess if you search it up, like the common ones you see are like the Ink magazine ones, which is more like people who have been on fucking Ink Master. And, you know, I guess like all of them in their own rights are really good tattooers. And I don't know any of them personally. Very, very few of them do traditional. And I think within the different styles of tattooing, there's sort of different cultures. So I don't necessarily vibe with that style of media and stuff, which is very like, I mean, all credit to them.
How are you going to explain
I'm a little bit jaded because I've never been asked to go on them.
Oh my God, shut up.
Nah, I wouldn't. It's not my kind of thing, but it's a little bit sort of like tacky in a way, where it's like
I would say a bit dated.
real like clickbaity stuff, you know, where it's like review these fucked up tattoos, you know, and that's like it's sort of all a joke. And I mean, if any of them who are on there listen to this and disagree, like tell me I'm a fuckwit. But I think sometimes with the like, this is going off topic here, but sometimes with the knock on like Ink Master and those sort of shows, and then subsequently like the Inked Magazine YouTube channel, which is like, it's a little bit corny.
Yeah.
Even though I do still watch them sometimes because they get suggested, is that it's like, sometimes I watch that shit and you're like, are these people like actually here to talk about tattooing, or they want to be like celebrities?
Yeah.
You know, that's where it's like, So it's not so much about like tat specific
It reminds
stuff.
me of like reality TV,
Yeah, 100%.
like Love Island kind of vibe,
Yeah.
which I'm not super into. But hey, there's a massive market for it.
Yeah, and people obviously love it. They get millions of views and stuff. But
it wouldn't be popular if people weren't viewing it.
It's very like, it is very like scripted, acted.
Yeah.
Everyone on there's got, and this is why they're on there, obviously, is like they got really strong opinions about certain things. And, you know, like if you're a tattooer, you're definitely not going to agree with all of them. They're probably the main ones. The podcasts, there's a few, fuck, I don't even know the name of them. I was going to say one, but I can't remember what it was.
What one?
There's a few like tattoo history ones predominantly. But I actually can't, I cannot. Cody was talking about it the other day. Dan Crow, who worked at Frith Street in London, who's recently moved to California, I believe, or somewhere in America. He's got a podcast. I think it's about tattoo history, stuff like that. I can't remember what it's called. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you look up, or Cody's either lying to me. He showed me one the other day and he was talking about it. Dan Crow, amazing tattooer as well. So check him out.
Yeah.
And that's Crowe.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Hopefully that sort of gives you like a place to start and then you can sort of progress from there with.
I'm going to put that in my notes.
Yeah.
I've got some homework to do, clearly.
This one's for you, Bella.
Oh, God.
Not sure how things are in Oz, but there's a pretty rough cost of living crisis in the UK due to the war in the Ukraine war and general oh my God. There's a cost of living crisis in the UK due to the Ukraine war and general economic mismanagement by our government. Have you seen your business affected by the economic climate recently? And how would you address the cost of living crisis in Australia? No, I just added that in because I knew you were just staring at me going, how the fuck am I going to answer this?
I was like, Hal, I'm going to sound so dumb. How dare you?
The question about the cost of living crisis and the economic crisis was, have you seen your business be affected by the economic climate recently? I see a lot of tattoo artists struggling to get work through the door in London at the moment. Really enjoy the pod. Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think most businesses in Melbourne specifically have been noticing a drop in business and sales or just customers popping in and spending money. It's obviously because of, interest rates and everything and whatnot.
War in Ukraine, supply chain issues, blah, blah, blah.
But then there's still a lot of people, young people who don't have those drastic issues to face, who have spent their money traveling overseas because they've spent the past few years in COVID and they've been saving since lockdowns went away to get their life back to normal. So I think it's a bit of a mix. Yes, I would say almost every business has seen a drop-off, but personally, I haven't seen a drastic change, which is very lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm somewhat well across this because I listen to the news radio every day. So I know about interest rates and cost of living crisis, housing crisis, etc.
I just don't really get that into it as you do.
Yeah. I would say there's a few factors mainly at play. So one, well, obviously it's different if you're on the other hemisphere at the moment. But in Australia, we're in the middle of winter or sort of coming towards the end of winter at the moment.
The main factor for us.
And in like a lot of industries, they can be quite seasonal. So historically in Melbourne particularly, because we're one of the we're the most southern mainland state.
We get quite a
we've got
quite a drastic winter.
Colder, it rains a lot, cold, all of that. Historically, there's always been like a downturn business-wise through the coldest months of winter, and then through when the weather's better, typically during summer, then businesses starts to boom.
Generally
a bit
from
more.
September, it picks up again.
So it's like, that's pretty much how it works. It sort of ebbs and flows throughout the year based on the weather and the seasons. So that's to be expected. During COVID, that sort of fucked it all up. And then after COVID, because it was like unseasonably busy for the next 12 months because everyone had money and everyone wanted to get out regardless of the weather, all that sort of stuff.
It set a very high standard.
Yeah. So this winter, or this last, say, 3 to 4 months, and probably the next 2 months, I believe, have been the first time going back to more of the historical seasonal ebbs and flows.
Since COVID that you've noticed a drop off.
That's also come at the same time of these, like, I guess, more economic issues in Australia. I don't know about the UK or America and stuff, but I think it's all been pretty similar. So, so the inflation's been increasing, and in order to curb the inflation, they increased the interest rates to slow down economic activity.
Yes.
Limit the amount of money people have because their costs have gone higher. And then that obviously brings inflation down. I'm not like a fucking economist or anything, but yeah, by trying to slow the economy down, I guess ultimately then people have less disposable income. Tattooing is sort of a luxury disposable income industry.
It's not an essential need. So.
Exactly. But as Bella said, because, you know, the large portion of our customer bases are made up predominantly of people under, say, 35, a lot of those sort of cost of living pressures aren't necessarily there yet. You know, like a lot of, you know, I'm going to say on average, a 19-year-old doesn't have a mortgage.
No.
So
they do. They might have rent to pay, which their rent may have gone up a little bit, but they're not getting completely slammed by the mortgage repayments and the interest and all of that.
Exactly. So I think because of that, if you're a somewhat younger tattooer, so you're under, say, 35, under 40 maybe, and your customer base is around your age or younger, then you're somewhat insulated from that sort of economic downturn.
Yes. But then that is the general age demographic of the people who've spent a lot of time traveling in the past 3 months.
Yeah. And I guess like
because they've saved their money from not being stooged by a mortgage.
We're like opposite seasons to a lot of the world. Yes. So like it's winter here. So a big thing for like a lot of young 20s people to do during winter here is to go to Europe during summer. So definitely, you notice a lot of your sort of regular customers aren't here for the next 2 months.
Yeah. And it's incredibly common for people in Australia, mainly Melbourne, to escape winter for a month or more and do that.
Yeah, so I would say yes, definitely. If you looked at the numbers across the board in the tattoo industry, much quieter overall during the winter months for us, or the last sort of say 3 months, maybe 1-2 more months to go. For seasonal reasons, but then on top of that, the economic reasons as well. So yeah, it's a really good observation. It's something that I think a lot of tattooers never consider, or they just use the excuse, oh, it's seasonal, oh, it's because it's winter, oh, when the sun comes out, it'll pick back up, you know? And I think a lot of people have started to realize now, and there's been a few prominent tattooers within, say, the Melbourne tattoo scene who have been really sort of pushing this idea of like, you know, yes, across the board, it's probably less busy, but there's still people out there who are extremely busy.
God, yeah.
And if that's...
You just need to be a little bit more creative with your marketing and how to get a customer to come to you instead of to Tom, Dick and Harry down the road.
Exactly. And that's one of the things is like, Bella and I have been lucky that the decisions we've made in the past and about how we want to market ourselves, how we want to go about building customer bases and stuff. We've always thought like the more tattoos you do, the more people you tattoo, the bigger your customer base is. When there's
your portfolio of work
when
is.
There's like economic downturn or seasonal downturn, then it's like you're still as busy as you were before because you've got such a large customer base. Maybe you're just not booked out for 4 months. You might be booked out for 3 months instead. But ultimately, each week you do the same amount of tattoos.
Yeah.
And I think that it's brought that to sort of the forefront of a lot of tattooers' minds. And it's a really interesting time, I think, in tattooing. And I guess then, with the social media and stuff.
A lot of curveballs, but a lot to still do.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting question. We don't really talk about economics in here much. No. I did economics at uni, two
I wouldn't flatter you that much, Dad.
2 lectures, Bella, and then I didn't go
and you made
again.
me pick you up early from both classes.
This one's for you as well, Bella.
Why for me? Are you just saying that?
No, these are the ones you sent me that people have sent to you.
Oh, no, some of the ones that I've sent you are screenshots from your DMs.
Well, this one says it's directed specifically to you.
Cool. Okay. Hopefully I have an answer.
Yeah. Bella, as you are the main breadwinner between you and Hal.
Are they having a stab at me or are they?
No, you said that the other week and I agreed with you.
Okay. I thought they were trying to be funny and I liked it.
No, as you're the main breadwinner between you and Hal, how long after to your return to tattooing? Oh, that's a bit confusing. How long after you have the child until you return to tattooing? Question for the podcast.
Great question. I would love
from Brentin, not Brenton, the customer we tattoo all the time.
Yeah. I didn't assume.
No,
I didn't assume it was from it.
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Moving on. Answer the question.
I wish I had a proper answer for you. Unfortunately, I don't because I'm unsure as to how life will be with a newborn. In my mind, I have prepared to have 3 months off, depending on how I feel and how we're both going.
Yep.
So realistically, that would mean coming back to work. I'm planning on coming back part-time because obviously I can't just drop my child off to someone to look after every day. Mm-hmm. So planning on coming back part-time as of mid-Jan to start of Feb. So, yeah, that allows 3 months from whenever the child is born.
Yep.
And in that time, Hal's probably going to take 2 weeks off once the child is born and he'll reassess if he needs more after that.
Yep.
But we'll both reduce the amount of days we work. Hal by maybe reduce it by 1 day or so.
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, we don't have any set in stone
see how much money
plans.
we need, how desperate we are for money, and then how that'll depend. You might see me coming back 7 days a week.
Yeah,
if we really need the money.
And like, I'm not the kind of person who has ever liked hanging around at home like all day, every day. I really enjoy work. I love my job, so I don't want to miss out. I'll get FOMO.
You are a massive FOMO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not from like the party scene.
No, just from anything. Specifically when I talk to Bobby on the phone.
That's about business, so it's a bit different.
It could be about anything.
No, I can hear it's about
what are you
business.
talking about? I'm like, fuck.
I can hear it's about work stuff and I'm like, hey, I got things to say, mate.
We're just fucking chatting about guy stuff.
You are not.
You know, talking about how the missus keep dragging us down. You know?
Shut up. I do not drag you down at all.
Hey, Bella.
Hey, Hal.
Question for the pod. I love how people write that.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, otherwise we might just answer it in the DMs.
Yeah,
you never know.
In terms of painting your own, this is actually a really interesting question and a good one to end on because it's like might require a little bit of thinking. Mm-hmm. In terms of painting your own flash, what do you guys consider copying if it's a redraw of a famous design, i.e. tracing and adding things in, or more like drawing it yourself while using it as a reference? Love the pod and you both got mad tatty skills.
Tatty skills.
Thanks.
Thank you. So what are our views on?
Well, the question, I guess, like I read it a bit confusingly, was when you're painting flash, or so let's say drawing, or you can even apply this to drawing a tattoo design.
Yep.
What do we consider to be copying, and what's then considered original or like an adaptation?
The most simple answer is copying is line for line. Mm-hmm. You're doing exactly what the reference is.
Yep.
I think at least minimum 20%.
But how do you gauge what 20% change is? So that's the hard bit. That's a confusing bit.
It definitely is. I think as long as you're changing a few of the major aspects of the design, So, for example, if you're doing a cowboy head, whether it be a cowgirl, cowboy, whatever.
Yeah.
If you're changing like the eyes, the hat, the hair, surely, and not every single line is within the exact same line. I would say that should be enough, but also a lot of the design, like the complete design that makes it different comes from shading.
Yeah.
So it definitely depends on how you're going to shade it.
It's really a difficult one to answer. And this
really is.
When people start to tattoo like an apprentice.
You try to explain to them like you need to change it a bit.
Yeah, I think it's like a bit of a learned skill how to determine what you believe, what people are going to think is copying, what people think is, okay, you've used a good reference, but you've adapted it to your own one.
Yes.
I was actually trying to sort of talk to Henry about this the other day. And I guess so my thoughts are that if we're talking about painting, that's a different thing. If you're just painting flash to learn the craft of painting and to learn color theory or to learn design knowledge about,
Yeah, and like where to shade specifically.
Then
that's totally different.
Copying and repetition is no drama because you're just doing it to learn a skill,
understand
to practice,
why you're doing
repeat.
it that way.
I don't believe that to be any different than if you're trying to learn piano, you're not sitting there writing your own songs.
Right.
You're learning other songs. The I guess the gray area or the question marks come when you try to monetize that, which would be either selling those paintings or providing those designs as tattoos.
Yeah. Sorry, and when it comes to painting, as in like painting flash, when you're learning, you would start out generally as copying a design.
Yeah.
But as you gain your own knowledge and your own style, you will then notice that there are drastic changes because your personal style has now come into the same designs.
Yeah, well, I think...
And you're going to do it differently.
I think it's like once you have learned how to actually do the technical aspect of like, cool, if I want to copy this exact design, I have the technical ability to look at it, go, yep, cool, it looks the same.
Yep.
Then ultimately that shows you understand design knowledge, placement, technical application, all those sort of things. That's when then you can make conscious decisions about changing the design but still not make mistakes. Like you still because you understand the actual principles behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's obviously it's one of the first stepping stones of learning how to paint, and then
I would say one of the hardest stepping stones for someone learning.
Yeah. So back to what I was saying about when I was saying to Henry is if you're not trying to monetize it, do whatever you want. Like I think the general consensus is you can just recreate any painting in the world if you're just doing it to say, hey, look, I did this recreation painting, or if you're giving proper credit. But yeah, the hard bit then is when you start to monetize it. You go, I've got these paintings for sale, and it's like, oh, they're all reproduced flash from a historical artist, say Bert Krim, Ed Hardy, something like that, which you do see a lot in tattooing, like almost exclusively within traditional.
Yes.
Because traditional as a tattooing style, those designs were drawn originally by certain people.
The historical designs.
But then they were passed around to other artists to reproduce.
Yeah.
And there was this whole system of like sharing and stuff like that. And I think from like, my understanding, and so other people might have different views on this, those sort of very classic historical designs that for example, you've seen like the Tony Polito skull with a cowboy hat on, which lots of people refer to as the cowboy skull. So there's a New York tattooer, Tony Polito. His Instagram was Old Calcutta, passed away a few years ago. So that's a classic design, and it gets done day in, day out all around the world. And the general understanding within tattooing is that that's like a historical design. If you give credit where credit's due, then replicating that is deemed to be okay. I think that it would be different case if you started printing that on T-shirts.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, where, there's a gray area and there's like some hypocrisy and stuff within tattooing. So there's examples like that. Obviously, all the Sailor Jerry stuff you see get replicated all the time. And most people, well, no one seems to have any issue with that. But when you get into more custom stuff, like someone's drawn a specific design, the issues arise when it gets copied line for line.
Yeah.
And it's not
there's no difference in the style.
It's not necessarily you're replicating a historical or a classic tattoo design because that's what your customers asked for.
Yeah.
It's that they've showed you a tattoo that's a more modern, recent tattoo, and you just have copied it line for line, shaded it, shading for shading.
Yeah.
And it is a really difficult situation when it comes up because, and it happens to me not all the time, but occasionally on both sides. So, like a lot of the time, and I had a tattooer the other day message me actually go, hey.
Yeah, that's correct. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, really good tattooer, Mugs tattooer. He messaged, and like I don't expect people to do this. I never would.
I was more shocked that he did.
Just as an example, he said, hey, customer came in, showed me these 2 tattoos you did. I tried to change them, but if I changed them too much, then they're not going to be what he's asked for.
Yeah.
And so he said and he sent me the photo of what he'd done and stuff. They were sick. And
at the end of the message, he was like, look, I tried my best. I really hope this is okay.
And so I guess, that, and like I've had that, I've been on the other side of that where a customer's come in and they've showed me a tattoo that's so specific or so obviously done by one artist.
Yeah.
That's a really popular artist and you see their stuff all the time on social media.
You just look at it and you're like, I know this is this person.
And it's like a good example is one customer showed me once this tattoo. It was actually a painting, done by Mike Mendez, who's like a popular traditional tattooer.
Yep.
And it was a panther crawling through like a doorway. It was like sort of a sci-fi sort of thing. And then it comes out like another doorway. So it's sort of like,
it's a very specific
and it was like
design.
So I was like, it's a cool tat, but there was no way that I could change that design without, because there's only say 2 elements, the doorways and the panther.
Without it being a rip-off of his
so
design.
it's like, in order to have it look the same, even if I changed the lines, drew the face differently, drew the bricks in the door differently, it's still the exact same concept.
Yeah.
And it would be like, yes, I've changed the design, I've changed the drawing, the lines, but the concept's the exact thing. And that's actually what you're ripping off, the concept. So, and I said that to my customer, I was like, hey, like I can do it ultimately. I'm not going to post a photo of it because, I don't want to imply that this is like my.
Yeah, you don't want to give people the wrong impression.
Yeah.
Thinking that you can do stuff like this freely.
Well, it's like I could do it technically, but it was more so about, it's like, I'll do the tattoo for you because Mike Mendez works in Europe and we're in Australia. You're not going to go there.
But also that style is not necessarily your natural drawing style.
Exactly. But I didn't want people to look at the concept and go, oh, Hal's come up with this amazing concept.
Yeah.
So I said that to him. I was like, or I can change some elements of it and then, we can just do it. And it's going to be the same overall theme, but it's not going to look like I've just taken the same tat. So ultimately what we did was, instead of the doorways it was going through, we made them like skin tears. So it's just a panther going in the skin, coming out the skin, which is a more sort of like general concept.
Yep. And it's more like the body of work that you generally do.
Exactly. So it was like, and he was happy with that because it sort of looked similar on the skin and it was, I guess, a compromise both ways. And it came out to a tattoo. I was able to put it on my story. I was able to say, hey, this is an idea that I came up with. This is how I've done it, rather than doing a tattoo and going, hey, I've done this tattoo, but I didn't actually come up with the concept. And but again, like it's probably been really confusing to explain because it is quite confusing, and you get asked all the time by young tattooers or like in the shop is like, how do you know what's okay to copy, what's not okay? And I think it's one of those things that comes down to, it's like, it's all down to the artist's discretion and what they feel comfortable doing. and also then what they feel like they can justify to themselves and to other people. And if you can...
I completely agree.
Yeah, and you see it all the time in tattooing. It's like if there's a super popular design that's done by one tattooer and you're seeing it all over the internet because it's getting shared around and stuff like that, guaranteed people are going to see that and go and ask their local artist or their main tattoo artist to do that design. And that's just how modern day tattooing is, in my opinion. That's like people see stuff and they go, sick, I love that, I want to get that.
Yeah.
And if it's such a specific thing, it can't necessarily be changed. Like the concept can't be changed without changing the whole tattoo.
Yeah.
You know, and a good example is like there was this design going around for ages, which was like a girl head and had like a staircase coming out of its eyes and some stuff. And you were seeing it a little bit. Anyway, I got asked to do it one day and I said to him, I was like, hey man, I can change certain elements of this, make the stairs different sizes, make her hair a little bit differently, but ultimately it's the same tattoo.
Yeah.
And that was one of those ones. Again, international artists, they weren't going to go do it. I changed it as much as I could without just like fully doing a completely different tattoo.
Correct, yeah.
And that's how if anyone ever questioned me on, I was saying, oh, you copied that, then I would feel confident that I could justify and back up that I made every available decision to change it to not be specifically just copying it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's, I guess, yeah, vague. I would say it ultimately comes down to what's your goal in it? Are you trying to make money? Are you trying to build like a following? Are you trying to build clout? Or are you just trying to learn the technical aspect and replicate certain things? If you look around on the internet and you can see a design, if you Google skull and crossbones tattoo and you see the exact same tattoo more than 5 times, I would say it's fair game that you can then copy that as well.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, and I also think, you know, like obviously through social media again, as a customer, you're exposed to new designs, whether it's painting or tattooing, through the artists that you follow. And there's a lot of this time is there's this perception out there that all those designs are just drawn from my own mind or your mind or whoever's.
Yeah, that's just the general assumption.
The reality is 95% of the things you see have been referenced from something else, a historical design, a classic design, something that's really popular that's going around. And
it's just a replica of something you've
I was talking to
seen.
Henry about this specifically today, is the way I view or the way I go about looking at something. A customer comes in and goes, hey, I've seen this tattoo. I want the same thing.
Yep.
And just say it's an eagle with a skull. And I go, cool. That's the concept, eagle, skull. Maybe there's certain elements that need to be the same. The wings need to be going in certain positions. The skull's at the bottom, the eagle's at the top, whatever. I can then go and reference 20 different eagles and go, cool, I like that eagle head. I'll draw something that's pretty similar to that. I like the style of those wings. I'll use those wings. I like the legs on this one. I like the tail on that one. How do I like to draw skulls? Cool. I've got 50 different skulls in my book, or 50 different skulls screenshot on my phone of tattoos that I really love. What are the elements of those tattoos that I really, really like?
And you pick apart
and you
the pieces.
pick them apart, collage them together, and then ultimately
do a little Picasso.
Yeah, ultimately you've got a tattoo drawing that line for line is 100% original. You've not
because you've taken elements.
You've not copied any lines. You've not like the concept is a general concept, and then you go, cool. You know, like yeah, there's a million eagles on top of skulls out there. But there's none that have
exactly like
have this exact line drawing, and then ultimately that's how you can go. You know, this is a custom drawing. This is a custom design.
Yeah,
it's referenced off a lot of stuff, but I've taken bits. I've drawn it my own way. I've made adaptations. I haven't just sat down at a light box, put the photo of Instagram underneath it, and drawn line for line.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know where this is the way my one works, but me and Henry had a massive conversation about this the other day because he's trying to understand these concepts and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say it's like most professional artists, when it comes to paintings, when it comes to like whatever, whether they're looking specifically at something to reference or they have such a sort of visual mental memory knowledge of things that they've seen that they're looking at for inspiration initially, and then when they go, hey, I'm going to do a painting.
I remember I saw this person.
I remember I love this aspect of this painting. I'm going to run that concept in mind.
Yeah.
It's all, a lot of it, like very rarely do I think anyone ever sits down, has nothing in their mind that they've seen before and just draws something.
Never.
It's all about reference. It's all about knowledge. It's all about understanding of what elements you're taking from certain things. And for example, we were talking about artists the other day, last episode. People ask about artists outside of tattooing that we're inspired by. Yep. And we mentioned a few, and someone messaged me saying, what are your thoughts on Terry Urban's paintings? So he's a painting. I see stuff on TikTok a lot and Instagram, references. So it's like more abstract, loose stuff.
Yep.
Like they're really cool. I do really like him. And he's done supremely well with the marketing of his art. And definitely no knock on Terry, but there's lots of people out there who paint not necessarily similar, but can do paintings of that ilk. But the way he's gone about and marketed himself, it's like,
very different.
You know, it's like you sit there and you look at the videos and you just watch them and go, fuck, that's amazing. You know, you watch the whole process. And that's like, I guess in my mind, what's other than the fact he does cool paintings, that's like one of the big differentiating aspects. But my point, was he uses and references a lot of like classic tattoo imagery in his paintings.
In a very, very loose style.
Exactly.
That is his own way of showing that or...
Yeah. And that's... I guess that's a good example if you want to go and look up his stuff of going like, you know, he's creating his own art whilst incorporating other aspects of other people's art, if that makes sense. I hope I've explained that well. That was just a secondary thought that came to my head.
I think you have explained that very well. And I think this is generally a very tricky topic to explain, especially to people who aren't either like creative or work in a creative industry or such. And I think the hardest aspect of this topic is every artist has a very, very different idea of what is copying and what is making it your own. Because people are generally very protective of their own art and style. So everyone you talk to is going to say something slightly different. But I think the way that we have answered that is a very general.
Yeah. And I'm also, and I think you believe this as well.
I'll tell you.
We're very much on the mindset that, you know, whether you call it pessimistic or skeptical or whatever, it's like I always believe that it's like it's these days because you consume so much content, so much media, it's very hard to claim a 100% originality for anything.
Oh, I agree.
And I think...
But subconsciously, like you could be taking in something that you've seen or heard or whatever, and you don't actually realize it. And then someone might point it out later to you and you're like, oh my God, I have seen that or heard it.
But I've dealt with artists, and you have as well, who they claim originality out of naivety.
Oh my God, all the time.
They don't understand that these things have been done before.
Yeah.
And although they might think it's a fully original concept, it's like, well, it's not. I remember seeing them look at tattoos that were identical to that. And then suddenly it's like, oh, that style's coming out in their tattoos. And they go, this is my original stuff. And it's like...
Also, I never want to be the person to have the discussion being like, look, you didn't create this because they
and it's like, whatever. I'm not saying...
Jenny, don't be hasty.
I'm not saying it's not cool and you're not doing a great job and it's not... you know, somewhat unique to you, but it's like, that's why I think you very rarely do see artists, especially in traditional, really being vocal about originality, all that sort of stuff, because there's always this general understanding amongst tattoo artists that it's like, you know, like when you start tattooing, all you're doing is replicating tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
No one's coming for your first tattoo as an apprentice going,
That's where your knowledge comes from.
yeah, no one ever comes and
Replication.
asks, hey, go and draw me something custom that's never been done before. They just go, hey, I want this tattoo. You can do it, so do it.
It's like when you're becoming a chef or something or a baker, you need to replicate this exact recipe to work in this kitchen and be a part of the team. Like it's the same thing.
And people will disagree and stuff like that, but you know, I guess that's just different opinions. But
And hey, if you want one of Hal Hunter's designs or tattoos and you can't get in with Hal Hunter, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it line for line, shading for shading to the best of my ability.
and I'll go to Bella's line drawing books like I did today and take that line drawing straight out and stencil it on.
I think one of the greatest things about the team that we have at Carlisle is everyone is so open to sharing around designs, and, you know, if your customer wants someone else from the shop's design, it's like, yeah, of course you can use it. Like,
but I'm also then like, but I've seen several versions of that tattoo before, so let's not claim 100. Let's not claim you fucking pioneered the style.
oh God, no.
So
I'm not claiming I've ever pioneered anything.
I know, but yeah, thank you. That question I think we answered much longer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to another episode. Hopefully you're still interested. And to the person who gave us not a 5-star rating, I noticed.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't even look.
I'm not petty, but I've got it written down in my diary.
But you don't know who it is.
No, I just wrote down date. Last Thursday went down to 4.9 stars.
Imagine if it's me.
Yeah, in brackets, someone hates me.
This is my pettiness to get back at you for not being sympathetic to me.
It would be.
And getting my coffee orders wrong.
Nah, that's all right. The response to the podcast has been really good. Keep sending in the questions, any advice, anything. Just message us, whatever. Hopefully we get back to them.
If you have advice for us to be better, learn something.
Of course.
Or if you just want to tell us that you disagree with our opinions, go for it.
And still working on getting some big name tattooers onto the podcast. I've got a bunch of messages in there that I'm sort of working my way through about organising dates and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully we've got some of them coming soon. Next week I think we're going to be back in the studio trying to do an episode. Might get some of the young boys on again.
Yep.
I've actually got a really interesting idea. So if anyone's listening this long into the podcast, I want to do an episode that's solely just the young guys by themselves. I'll prompt them. We've
spoken about this a few times.
I'll put it up about, hey, here's the questions for the podcast for these guys, the young dudes, and then I want to hear them answer them when we're not there.
Yeah, and I want to hear them how they would host it and just make it all run.
Yeah,
It'd be so entertaining.
That'd be cool. That's more just a personal passion thing for me. We want
to throw them in the deep end.
I want to see them, get a bit more confidence. You know, go about, get their personalities out there a bit and stuff. So, rate the podcast, share it, follow it, like it. Thank you very much. We will talk to you next week.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
This episode is brought to you by Carlisle Tattoo Co. 178 Carlisle Street, St Kilda, Melbourne, Australia.